to my channel. So for today's video, I decided that I would sit down and film a Q&A because I haven't done a Q&A since summer last year actually. So I just fancied doing one of these because I really like chatting with you guys about my experiences and hearing what you guys have to say. And I like Q&As because I feel like it's more like I'm chatting to you and you've got a chance to get to know me and you've got a chance to ask me what you want to know really. And because I've grown a bit more as a YouTuber and as a blogger now since I last did this, I thought you guys might have some more questions for me, and as it turned out you did, because I posted on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram, which I'll link down below if you're interested. I asked you guys what you wanted to ask me under the hashtag #AskFashioneyesta. You guys sent me some questions, so now I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna answer some of them for you. So that's what we're gonna do today. So let's get started. The first question is, what is your all-time favourite quote and why? I think my all-time favourite quote definitely has to be a quote from the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie, and it's from one of the songs, and it is, "There is no life I know to compare with pure imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be." Not going to sing that quote because I can't sing and I'll end up making your ears bleed, which I do not want to do, but suffice it to say that is my all-time favourite quote, just because I feel like that's so apt, because with imagination you can create so many incredible places, whether that's through a play or a film or a book you read, or just by being able to immerse yourself in something creative or something that you love. And having an imagination really does give you that freedom, and I think that quote is so true to life, and me as a writer, I live by that quote. I think it's so apt for my life and also what I believe in. I am on the waiting list for a guide dog, so just wanted to ask if you had any advice for any new guide dog owners. I would say if you're on the waiting list, or if you've applied or you're going to be getting a guide dog, my most crucial piece of advice is to bear this in mind, that when you have a guide dog, your life is going to change a lot in a number of ways, and you are going to have to change with it. And one of the things you're going to have to remember is that when you have a guide dog, you can't fade into the background anymore. You can't be an introvert anymore, not very much, because people notice you when you have a guide dog, because it's like this big cute banner going, "Woo, look at me and look how amazing and cute I am." More that they want to know about the dog and they want to interact with the dog. So you as a person are going to have to get used to being a little bit more of the centre of attention when you go out into public places. And if you're an introvert, you might not like this a lot, so you're going to have to just get comfortable with it and just know how to vocalise yourself. Of course, there are situations where it's not the right time and the right place to do it, and you need to be able to get on with your life, and people do need to respect that you're a person still. Even though you have a guide dog, you do have to get on with your daily tasks. There are situations where it is important that you do speak to the people who come up and talk to you, because guide dogs as a charity relies on the funding of the public. They don't get any government funding, so those people who talk to you might be sponsoring a guide dog puppy, and they might want to know about how you're getting on with this dog, and knowing that the money that they're giving to this charity to help people like yourself and me is actually helping. So they want to know, and of course they're going to be interested. So you also have to remember that, and you also try and have to make time to explain how things are going and just talk to them about your dog and how you're finding it. Do you find that due to your visual impairment you stick to certain colour palettes when picking clothes or makeup? I don't necessarily think this is down to my visual impairment. I think there are certain times of the year where I stick to certain colour palettes when I'm choosing my clothing especially, and certain aspects of my makeup. Like in the autumn time, I love my burnt oranges, my plums, my mustards, my oxbloods, my burgundies, and those are the colours I usually wear. But I don't think that's because of my visual impairment. That's just because I know what colours look good on me, and I know what suits me, and those are the colours that I gravitate towards. I don't think it's necessarily a trait that's down to me having a visual impairment. Although, having said that, I do think that there are times when I'm shopping for maybe a new lipstick and it's not usually a shade I go for, that I tend to stay towards certain shades that I know look good on me, just because if I don't have my mother with me and I'm not too sure, I will always stick to the colours that I know look good on me. So the peaches and certain shades of plum, I'll only stay towards them, and I don't ever verge into the red territory, or you know, orangey coloured lipsticks or like brown tones, because I don't necessarily know what looks good on me. So I like to shop with my mum for makeup, and if I'm not with her I will stick to colours that I know. So in that respect I do, yes. But When it comes to my clothing, I don't think it's because of my visual impairment, it's just because I like certain colours at certain times of the year. What 5 tips would you give to someone starting out in blogging? I would say the first tip is to go into it with not too many high expectations. Go into it with an open mind, and remember that this is something that you started for fun or because you wanted to have a place on the internet to talk about your experiences and what matters to you as a person. So know what you want to talk about when you start blogging. Talk about the things that you like and that interest you and that matter to you. I would also say try and keep it relevant as much as you possibly can. So depending on what you're talking about, try and keep it relevant to the times, because your blog is a media output and you have to try and keep it current and keep it new and keep it engaging. So as much as you possibly can do, try and keep it relevant to the time of the year and also what's going on in the world if you can. Try and have a network of friends and other bloggers that you can chat to and who you can collaborate with and get inspiration from and help each other out, because blogging is a community. It's very much about your community, and if you build up a community and if you work towards getting a community and you put work into that community, you'll get the rewards back. So also try and keep it as open and as friendly as you can. Only write there when you're happy and write when you are feeling that you have got something to talk about. Don't try and force it, because that helps you have a better relationship with blogging and it will keep you interested and engaged in it for longer. Where do you find your greatest amount of inspiration and who is your biggest role model? So I'd say for inspiration, I get so much inspiration from the people I work with and the people that I know, whether that's people that I've met through my campaigning or through blogging, people that I interview for my podcast channel Fashionability, the people that I work with from Scope or other charities that I've worked with, other bloggers that I chat to. I just get inspiration from people. I love hearing their stories about their life and about how they've come to be involved in what they're interested in, and I really find that every day that I chat to people and that I interview them, I find a lot of my inspiration. So that is where I find my biggest inspiration. It's the people that I meet and the people that inspire me to do what I do. And I think one of my biggest role models was definitely, and still is, my friend Charlotte Eads, who was my close friend and also a YouTuber who I knew quite well, and we were very close, and she passed away earlier this year of brain cancer. I think the reason I found this inspirational was because she had such a reserve and a determination to carry on and do what she wanted to do, and she didn't want to let cancer stop her from doing that, and she had so much courage to very honestly document her battle with cancer on YouTube. She had such a beautiful soul, a beautiful spirit and a beautiful way about her, and I feel like whenever I need inspiration or whenever I feel upset, I always watch her videos and I just try and draw inspiration from that. So my biggest inspiration is my friend Charlotte Eads. What is your favourite makeup tip for the visually impaired? One of my biggest tips that I found really useful is to use cream eyeshadows when you're starting out with eye makeup in particular. I did for a very long time, and then I moved on to powder eyeshadows when I was more confident, but I find that if you use a cream eyeshadow, maybe a cream shadow stick, you get no fallout, it's easier to blend, and you can use your finger to apply it. It helps you get used to the process of using eye makeup. And then also, if you're starting out with mascara, use a clear mascara to start off with, because you can get the technique of using mascara without the risk of getting any black blobs all over your face. It's just a really easy tip to get you used to it. Is it possible to share your experiences of learning at university? What kind of tools did you use to assist you in learning? And they also want to know about learning a language. Now, I didn't learn language at university. I studied English literature, and now I'm studying a master's degree in children's literature. So I didn't do a language. I did do French when I was in GCSE, and I used a lot of audio cassettes of recordings of French to help me with the oral side of it. With the writing, it was more difficult because trying to see what the syllables were was very difficult. So that side I did struggle with a little bit more, but I was very good at actually speaking and pronouncing my French. There was a lot to university, and there was a lot of steps to actually studying university. I had to get funding for a lot of my technology from DSA, Disabled Students Allowance. I got things like Clara Read to help me read books. I had to get a lot of books transcribed because they weren't accessible, or I had to find audiobooks to read certain titles out, because again, it's difficult if you can't read them with print and you have a time limit. So there was a lot to it, and you have to be organised with university because there are a lot of aspects to university, and as someone with a visual impairment or a disability, things can take longer to get done. You have to be able to advocate for yourself. I swore by Clara Read. Clara Read is basically a speaking app that you can have on your iPhone or your tablet or your MacBook, for example, and it basically reads back documents to you. It's a screen reader as well. It can read websites to you. It's a little bit like a screen reader, but it's better because it's more fluid and the voices you get are better. You can change the pitch a little bit more easy, and it's a little bit easier to work with, and it's quicker to use. So I personally loved Clara Read, and that was what I swore by. And I also used something called a C Pen Friend, which is basically a pen that you scan over documents, and it will scan the text and it will put it onto your desktop, like it will put it onto Microsoft Word, for example. So I used that. Those are the two main things I used, Clara Read and my C Pen, and I also used a lot of audiobooks as well. But for me personally, my MacBook was my world. My MacBook and Clara Read were my survival kit at university, and they still are. Have you ever thought about learning Braille? I've actually got this question quite a lot. I have got enough vision at the moment to be able to read large print text and to use my MacBook to read documents to me, so I've got enough technology that I don't need to use Braille, and the resources that I have in place for me mean that I don't have to learn Braille. And also I have enough vision, that means that I don't have to learn Braille. It's not a necessity at the moment, but I would like to learn it just because I'd like to have that skill and that knowledge. So I have thought about it and I would like to make a point of learning it, but just not at the moment. What magnifier and other assistive technology do you have to help you? I have Clara Read, like I said, that reads back documents to me. I have that on my iPhone and my MacBook and my tablet, my iPad. Snow magnifier, and it's an electronic one, and it has a stand, so I can change the colour contrast, the distance of the zoom, so I can zoom it in more if I need to, and I can stabilise it so I can stop it on a page if I want to read that page in particular. So I do use that, but I also do use my iPhone a lot. I take pictures of things and I zoom in if I need to, and that just usually helps me if I'm out and about. And those are the kind of things I really use. I don't really have anything else apart from that. So I have a magnifier, and then I have Clara Read, which I use on all of my Apple technology. As a modern working woman with vision loss, how do you use technology? So again, the same kind of thing I've said before. I use a lot of Apple devices. In particular, I use things like Clara Read. I also use a lot of apps to help me as well. I mean, there's a lot of things that I use, but in particular for me, I use things like Speak Selection on my iPhone, and it reads out documents to me. An iPhone is really the way forward. If you've got an iPhone in your hand, you really do have the power to do a lot of things that people with full vision can do, and I think that for me is the best thing about technology, that I'm able to actually do all these kind of things without having to necessarily see them. I can use an iPhone and I'm able to see what bus is coming, or I'm able to read a price label on a package in a shop. What is your favourite fragrance at this time of year? Oh my gosh, this is so hard because I love autumn winter for the fragrances. I'm a massive Lush fan. I love scented candles, and there are so many fragrances that I actually love, but I think for me one of my favourite fragrances for autumn, and particularly for the later part of autumn and Christmas, is frankincense. I love frankincense in candles. I love the M&S frankincense and myrrh candle. I have it in bath bombs, and I just think that's a really warm, comforting smell, and it reminds me of my childhood when we used to go to church on Christmas Eve. Is there anywhere Unity will refuse to take you, or is reluctant to take you? Unity is my guide dog, for any of you who don't know. I think Unity is a little bit reluctant to go in clothing shops. Unity hates clothes shopping. She can't stand it, so I don't take her all the time, just because she gets so bored. She'll throw herself down on the floor, she'll sigh, she'll grunt, she'll grumble, she'll make it quite plain that she does not want to be there. And that's not because she doesn't want to do it or she can't do it, it's just because she doesn't like doing it. She gets bored of it. And I think this is a bit of a common thing, because a lot of guide dog owners I speak to say that their guide dogs don't like going clothes shopping either. So I think they just don't like us spending money on ourselves when we could be spending it on dog toys for them. Because the minute I take her into the pet shop, her attitude changes and she's all happy and perky and her tail's wagging in the air and she's all sprightly and happy. But the minute I go into New Look, or I go into Debenhams, or I go into even Lush, or I go into Boots, she hates it. She's a miserable dog. It's like the whole entire world's against her and she can't stand it. So that's the only one I can think off the top of my head. She's quite a happy dog to go wherever I want to go, and she's quite easygoing and she's quite a placid dog and she's quite eager to do a new route. So next question is regarding my job at Lush. For those of you who don't know, I now actually work for Lush Cosmetics in Bromley as a sales advisor. And the question is working at Lush reasonably accessible as a visually impaired person? It very much depends, I guess, on the team that you work with, the manager that what you work for, and the store layout as a whole. I can't answer that in terms of every store because other stores are a lot bigger, so they might be a bit more difficult to navigate and they might have stairs, for example. So it doesn't necessarily mean that my experience is going to be the same if someone else was to work in a Lush store and they're visually impaired. I think for me, I've had a really good experience because my manager and my team are very supportive. They've given me a lot of till training. I also think because the store is quite small and compact and everything's got a particular place allocated to it, and each range has got a certain place. So bath is in one section, and you've got body in one other section, you've got shower in another section, hair care, skincare, it's all got a particular place and it's easy to navigate. It's been quite easy for me to know where things are and I've been able to do it quite easily without any fuss. And another thing is, the team will also show me if they've changed the layout of the bath bombs or they've put things in a different section. They'll show me where they've put it before I start my shift, so I'm actually able to know where things are. And I think because of all that, my experience has been very accessible to me and I've had a really good experience. I really love my team that I work with. They're such lovely people, so I think because of that my experience has been really good. But obviously I can't say that's going to be the same everywhere you work, but Lush as a company are a really nice company to work for. I just feel like for me it's been a really good experience because they've been very open to my needs and they've been quite accommodating, and I've just had a really fun time and I've been really enjoying working there and I'm really enjoying my experience so far. So I personally think it's been a great experience and I really hope that my experience helps Lush as a company. I feel that they can employ more people with disabilities into their company, so I'm really positive about it. How did you get into vlogging and what inspired you to do YouTube? So I got into vlogging because around that same time that I started vlogging, I had just finished my A-levels and I was about to go to university, and I have always loved media studies and I did that as an A-level and I did very well in it, and I really enjoyed the practical side of it and making a movie trailer and making video content, and I loved editing the video. I loved making something to put on the internet and to actually have that experience of actually making a project, and I found it really fun and I wanted to do it more as a creative pursuit as opposed to having to do it for something that you're being graded for and having a set criteria of what you have to make. So I really liked the idea of being able to make my own work and to make my own content and my own space online. I started my blog and that idea went on the back burner, and then I thought to myself that I could do YouTube as well as my blog. So then about 2 or 3 months after I started my blog, which is July 2012, I decided to start a YouTube channel. And I did a few videos on there to see how it went, and then the first video that I did that I tried to take my channel really seriously was You Don't Have to See to Love Fashion, which I got help from a fashion student who helped me make it for her project, and she let me put it on my YouTube channel. And I thought to myself that I could really make my YouTube channel a place where I talk about sight loss and disability and try and dispel the myth that sight loss stops you from having a life or being able to have an interest in fashion. So I just wanted it to be an extension of my blog, but also to be a different kind of place. So I guess for me, I just wanted to create a space online where I could talk about the things that mattered to me, and I wanted it to be something different to my blog, because I feel like with my blog there's only certain things you could do, but with my YouTube I feel like I had a bit more creative license to make what I wanted to make. So I decided to do my YouTube as well, and it really got me inspired to do videos because I really wanted to create videos that spoke the message that having a disability doesn't stop you from having a life or having a fulfilled life, and that's why I wanted to start YouTube. And that is pretty much the reason why I started it, because I wanted to be creative and I wanted to create a place on the internet where I could speak about what mattered to me. I really enjoyed creating videos and content, and I wanted to have that creative license to make videos where I could challenge the stereotypes that surrounded disability and sight loss in a fun way. So I guess for me that's why I started it, because I wanted to do something new, and I wanted to speak about a message that mattered to me, but I wanted to have fun doing it also. And I really do have fun with YouTube. I really enjoy making videos, and I hope you guys enjoy watching them as much as I enjoy making them. So that's it for my Q&A today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. I haven't answered everybody's questions just because I got far too many to do that, and I didn't want this video to be too long. But I'm going to save the rest of the questions that I've got, and I'm going to do another Q&A next time. Maybe next year, like in January next year, I'll do another Q&A. So if you guys have got any questions to ask me, feel free to ask me under the hashtag #AskFashioneyesta. You can comment down below here. You could ask me a question on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. I will leave all the links to my social media down below if you're interested. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you guys have enjoyed it. Be sure to like, comment and subscribe to this channel if you're new as well. And I will see you guys in my next video.